Well, it's a beautiful day in the forest, and I wanted to talk a little bit about debt. As a 50-something-year-old woman, I got some debt, right? So I want to tell you a little backstory about this. I left a 32-year marriage 6 years ago, and I left with a bag of clothes. Okay. I didn't know how to do any money. He did all the money. And I used to have a positive association with money. So I would call it chocolate. For like years, I called it chocolate. So I don't have the best association with money. And I lived in a tiny little apartment. After a while, got a job. And then what I had to do is upgrade. I didn't have to, but I didn't like being in an apartment living, and I had really good credit. So I bought a house, and then the market skyrocketed. And I sold that house for almost $120,000 more than what I bought it for the year before. And I bought a bigger house. The bigger house came with a lot of problems. It was a beautiful location and a old house that had good bones. And so I started fixing it up. And over time, I have waxed and waned with credit because, I had to fix shit. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my budget and what I'm going to do over this next year, 2025. So, credit card debt, I have about $19,000. $19,000. I work two jobs. I have one full-time job and one part-time job. And I do a side gig with Shopify. And the side gig isn't making much money. So we gonna get rid of that because it's just a money pit. Now, another thing is my car. I have $5,000 left on that. I had gotten my bachelor's degree, and so I have $6,000 in debt on that. So what do? It is very easy to get overwhelmed. Like that chocolate's going off the rails. I can tell you what the four things are that I want to do and not want to do. I will do it. So first of all, and this is the biggest thing, I think, is having a mental toughness mentality, having a good head here. So I need to wrap that shit up, and I need to get that out and, work hard on that. So my mental toughness is the most important thing. Now, that sounds really stupid, but if you can't have a good mentality about your future, then how in the world are you going to fix it? And also, how do you have a good mentality? How do you have a good outlook if you're in debt? I can tell you, I have decent job money coming in, and, with house and everything else, I don't have a ton left over. But this is where the mental toughness comes in. I am going to shave some things off of my budget. What do I need and what I don't need? So we're going to talk about that probably next video. But shave some stuff off my budget. Then I'm going to save $1,000 a month. It's going to be really hard, but I'm going to do it. And that $1,000, 500 is going to go to my credit card. The other 500 is going to go to my house fund. And I say house fund very loosely because if it's also an emergency fund. I have managed to save $5,000 for the emergency fund in the last 6 months. That's pretty cool, right? I'm excited about that, and I want to keep that going. I also want to be able to put money away for my credit card and get rid of all that debt, and that takes time. The next thing I think you need to have is consistency. I know that sounds silly, but if you're not consistent with what you're doing and not looking at what you're doing every day, then I don't think you can get to where you want to go. You're haphazard about stuff. So honing in on what you want and being consistent and mentally there is going to help me. Number 3 is being healthy. Healthy is super important to me. I was 300 pounds for most of my life. And once I lost the weight, and I didn't lose it in a great way. I mean, I dieted, I exercised, but I didn't know how to hone it in. And I still have issues with that. I still like to eat like a 14-year-old boy. So I have cut out a lot of that, and I am eating more whole foods and feeling better than ever. And that helps me become mentally clear. And that is so important when I want to hone in on a goal. And the next thing is learning more about how to be fiscally responsible. I mean, you're not taught this shit in school. Let's be honest. I mean, I was taught home ec and how to sew, but we sure didn't have anything about how to do anything money wise, how to save it, how to spend it. I learned how to write a check. That is it. So it's time for me to be more fiscally learned. And so I want you to come with me because if you're in the same boat as I am, let's do this together. Like, let's start a budget together. I mean, I already have a budget, but I could hone it in a little bit. I could rein it in. But let's see what we can do with this. I'm giving myself 3 months to see where I'm at. And don't you worry, we're going to have a 3-month update, but I'm going to be doing this throughout the time because I think this is so important, especially with the job market the way it is, especially with all the things that are happening in the world. We want to make sure that we are happy, healthy, and just overall fulfilled. So, are you with me? Let's do this.